What's going on, everybody? It's your man DJ Daz1 in the building. What's good? I finally get to throw the New York Yankees hat on. Yes, that deserves some applause right there. Come on. Just want to say post happy Juneteenth to everybody. Hopefully you celebrated it effectively, celebrated it well. It was a positive outcome wherever you was at, all over the U.S. or the world. And we're here to keep things moving. Before we begin, please, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you take time to subscribe to the YouTube page. The more likes, the more followers, the more subscribers we get, the easier things will be, the easier things can go. And it lets me know, lets us know that we're doing the right thing because y'all keep coming. And if you build it, people will indeed come. Word is bond. Before we bring our guests on, I also want to just take time out to shout out DJ Cool, rapper Big Pooh, my sister April Joy Matorda, my brother DJ Mo D, and my brother Stephen Russell Hartz for making the time spent well deserved, and of course taking y'all for making season 2 what it is thus far. And we got lots of great interviews on the way, so stay tuned for that. And as we proceed, we'll let you know what's going on and all that good stuff. Today, I got a good friend, someone I've known for a long time. I don't think we've ever worked together, but we were in the same circle for many, many years. We're going to get into all of that. The way I met this man was through a great group of positive brothers that did a great thing, not only for hip-hop culture, but for the Christian community. But we're going to get into all that as we proceed. But for now, I'm just going to see if my guest is ready, and I'm going to bring the man on, and we'll take it from there. I think I sent him up. Alright, is that him? Okay, I don't see nothing but blurriness. I don't see nothing. Okay, there he is. I say, man, I don't see nothing but blurriness. But now I see it. What up, man?
What up, man?
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure your mic was working and everything. All right, so as I usually do with routine, I give my sway-like introduction. You're going to be no different, so just sit back and enjoy the flowers, okay? All right. This brother that you see on the screen right now, I didn't meet formally, but I met him through a project that came out back in 2004, if memory serves me correct. This is when I was living in the city of Boston. And I came across this group of individuals called Mass Reality, and man, it left me speechless because while I was still searching for my MC sound, I didn't know what direction I wanted to use, where I wanted to go. I was just listening to this collection of work that these people put together, along with some outside people. Shout out to Remnant Militia, shout out to New Breed, and a few others that were on there, and it just blew my mind how this came together and how it really spoke to me, not only content-wise, but it represented the boom bap sound that I grew up listening to. And these brothers were just on the forefront of something special. And somehow, some way, me and this brother met. I don't remember where, I don't remember when, I don't remember what we talked about, but I know we met, and I got to put a voice with the face. And I can safely say, since that day, we have been friends. We have vibed ever since. And ladies and gentlemen, regardless of what you may feel about content or how a person, chooses to represent themselves, honesty is the best thing. And this guy has never steered away from honesty, whether it was on the mic or off the mic. Great father, great person, great humanitarian, great all around everything. He lives what he talks about. He's not out there doing dumb stuff. He's not out there in the streets ruining his career like a lot of y'all rappers do. I'm sorry, I'm getting extended with this. Let me say one thing to y'all rappers. When you're making it in the industry, stop doing the stuff that will get you locked up. You made it in the game. Why would you want to go back to doing stuff you don't need to do? I don't know. That was just a random rant. Please don't mind me. Ladies and gentlemen, got my brother here,
former Mass Reality native, because I still love the name and I'm going to say it every time. But he's one of the most hardworking solo MCs, not only in the city of Boston, but for the culture of hip hop. He's got a great album that came out a week ago. It's doing great numbers. He told me himself it's doing great numbers, and I like the fact that he's got my brother Static Selector on it. He's got what's the other guy's name? I always forget. Knots on it. Shout out to Knots. And he's got a lot of great things happening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vandal to the show. There we go. Had to do the long introduction. Sorry.
Yeah. What's up, man? I'm outside, man.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm great, man. I got the record out. It was the kind of record, the kind of music I actually wanted to do. So it already feels successful. Like
Okay.
apart from the the numbers, because the Static joint that just went crazy all over the planet. Like
Okay.
that
Now,
that
just
joint
one
went.
record. I know you're a laid back guy. You're very chill. You're very guru calm. Like with me, you gotta be energetic. So get loud, dag nabbit. Let me stop. Nah. I like I'm the loud one. I never change. My
No
lady
doubt,
tells
no
me that
doubt.
I'm too loud, and I gotta be calm sometimes. It's just hard to do because I'm a New York guy. We're loud. This is what we do. So don't mind me. I'm just trying to be funny. But in all seriousness, let's get into your early days. Were you born in Boston, or did you get there,
No,
or
no.
you got there
I've,
eventually?
no, I've been here most of my life. But growing up, I was all over the place.
Okay.
I mean,
Where
I
were
was
you born?
I was born in Michigan.
Oh, shout out to Detroit. Okay. I
Yes,
did
out
not
of
know that.
Detroit.
I did not know that. So you already come from a great long line of super MCs, but we'll get into that as we proceed. What was the Detroit rap scene like in your early years?
Oh, I have no idea. Because I left there when I was young, and
Okay.
I was all over the map. West. Most of my growing up was in
Mhm.
the South.
Okay.
Mississippi, Alabama. My family on my mother's side, and I believe on my father's side, go all the way back to the plantations in Texas. So
Wow.
kind of like the South was kind of like the semi-formative part,
Hmm.
of my life at that point. So
Okay.
between it's kind of like the South and Boston. That's kind of me in a nutshell. Like, cause
So
as a child, I was bouncing around. So,
so what part of Texas were you? What part of Texas?
um, like from what I was able to trace, my mother's late grandmother was enslaved in Central Texas somewhere. 'Cause she was born a slave. She didn't even know her.
Wow.
She didn't even know how old she was because you were property. So like there's a birth certificate's not coming. So like
Wow.
her actual age, was always in question. So that I don't remember the city, but
Hmm.
it's like a small town in Texas because Texas is the size of a country. So
Wow. Oh my. This is getting deep early. It's funny you're mentioning this and then the release of your album and then Juneteenth, because that's where Juneteenth started.
yeah,
1865 in Texas.
yep,
For those that know the story, you know the story. We're not going to get into that right now, but this is history right here to know that. Wow, I just have to pause on that because
yeah.
that was kind of deep. Dang. Wow.
I'm if you say it a different way, I'm 2 degrees of separation from the plantation. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Like,
it literally just happened.
wow.
Like in
Oh,
terms of the country's history.
that's wow, wow, man. I'm learning something new about you that I never that was well. Thank you for sharing that. I know that must be. I won't say difficult to talk about, but I know that's not an easy thing to just put out there and say, hey, this is how I came here, but I don't know how I came here, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna really meditate on that one, and when we get off here, I'll actually want to call you and speak to you more in detail about that. But for the sake of the purposes of time, we're gonna get into the music side. That's gonna be hard for me to just shift away from that because I mean we speak culture, or we talk about how we are for the culture, but literally I could say that you are for the culture in a way that has nothing to do with music, and that's powerful. So we'll get into that. But thank you for indeed sharing that. I mean, I love hearing stuff like that because it lets me know that Black history truly means something. And when you can grasp the information like that, hold on to it and realize how special of a culture we as a people are to hear something like that. So thank you for sharing that. Much appreciated. So when did your love of when did your love for hip hop start? And was it a video that you saw? Was it an album that you heard? Was it a certain artist that made you to stop and look and say, okay, I like this form of speech. I want to get into this. Who were your early influences coming in the game?
Well, the first time I actually wanted to rap is when I heard Tupac, um, the Strictly for My Niggas album, because that did it for me. But what I had access to also at that point was the Keep Your Head Up single, and you had the instrumental on the other side. So I
Yeah.
started writing to that. So that's what set it off for me. But as I grew and tried to get my right and get my shit off, there was Outkast at that point. Um, really changed the way that I had to write. So you had Outkast, you had It Was Written from Nas. That
Yeah.
I had to shift after that. Um, when Inspector Deck was really kind of coming into his own, I had to shift then. Um, Mobb Deep, like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
like that, and also it wasn't even so much an album or an artist, but more like an era.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Death Row aftermath era has like really shaped me as an artist, and you kind of hear that on the Pick Your Poison joint, because like what when you look at like the list of producers, it's pretty much an aftermath record without Dre, because you have you have all of the you have a lot of the artists that were producing for the aftermath folks. Trox had stuff with 50.
Mm-hmm.
Knots had stuff, with G Unit. Static Selector had stuff with Shady. Um, you had Track Bangers who did stuff on Aftermath. So it's pretty much like the whole album except for Kelly Portis, rest in peace. You can find them on Aftermath Records. So when I was kind of looking for that sound, I gravitated to a lot of what they were putting out, because I would notice with the whole Death Row Aftermath, when you have an artist, go into Dre's sphere of influence one way and come out a different way. So it's like I studied like all the artists that was around Dre, from Snoop all the way up to now.
Okay.
So that kind of shapes how I did it. Rough Riders also, Styles P specifically, like Gangsta and a Gentleman. Like if you listen to like how I rap and the way that I record, I think you'll hear You'll hear Inspector Deck. You'll hear Nas. You'll hear Styles P. A little Outkast. You'll hear a little Tupac.
Uh-huh.
You hear some DMX. You'll hear those influence all throughout, kind of like the way I record, the way I put my bars together. So it's kind of like I just kind of pull from all of those, but make it me.
I wanna I mean, that's dope. That's a very, you mentioned some very, very critical names that are responsible for building or adding to the street hop, and I say street hop because that's the term Nas used, the street hip hop culture, if you will. Like the names you mentioned are very respected in the streets and also respected in the industry. But I want to actually go back to some of the names that you mentioned first, because I don't think any artist that I've interviewed already, none of them have mentioned Outkast. You're the first. And Outkast is someone that I highly looked up to because of the way, first of all, where they came from. At that time, Atlanta was like not really a spot on the map like it is today. And I feel that their form of speech, the way they did it, was something so new to everyone, especially at the time when they got big, because they were making their name during the Bad Boy and Death Row East Coast West Coast beef. And they were kind of in the middle of this. Here you got these two 19-year-olds from down south no one's ever heard of. They go to the Source Awards, win Best New Artist of the Year, and everyone's like, who are these people? But yet, today, Outkast is like on everyone's top 20 list. What was it about Outkast in particular that made you take notice to what they were doing, even though you know it was different from the New York boom bap sound that was popular then?
Well, I was in Alabama at that point,
Okay.
and during that time period of those couple of years spans, you had Wu-Tang out, you had Illmatic and other ones out.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like everywhere that I was at, like when Outkast dropped, like that was it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're aware of Nas, you hear it, you'd be like, okay, that's dope.
Yeah.
Like Nas didn't get his hooks into me until it was written. At
Okay.
that point, it was just Outkast, and everything else was just kind of like on the margins of that. Like the Wu-Tang, that was cool, but Outkast, Tupac, the whole Death Row, Ghetto Boys, Scarface at that point. So that was kind of like on repeat where I was. And then like when you go to corporate radio, you hear like the mix shows.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm hearing Ray and Ghost, mixed in. So it was like but like at that point, like when Outkast dropped, there was nothing else happening. Like like nobody else could breathe in that region. And then, like as far as from where I was sitting, it was like when Outkast came, everybody else was out the way.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's how I felt too. I was like, man, this
and just the way that they rapped, and just the way that the beats hit, I was like,
yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Fair to say, definitely fair to say. If you're just now tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, we got Vandal here representing the 617, representing the culture representing the culture now. Like literally, that first opening just still blows me away. And we're just getting into his influences on who he is and the sound that cultivated him to where he is today. So from down south, you ended up. How did you end up in Boston or on the East Coast?
Well, I had a couple of friends out here that were trying to like make moves in New York and such, and I actually my late manager at that point, he said, you should come out so that we're closer together. We're in striking distance from New York. We can get a buzz going. I got some connections out here. So I came out there, came out here. Um, you got to work and get a job and do different things, but at the same time, recording and putting records together. And he was pretty much uh, shopping it, or trying to shop it with the labels. But that his life got cut short, unfortunately. So
Rest in peace.
yeah.
Indeed. I know I'm going ahead of schedule, perhaps, but I spoke on mass reality during the introduction. How did mass reality come together?
Oh, we all went to school together
Okay.
in Oklahoma, because like after that's kind of where my mother kind of settled for a little bit at that point. So we went to school there. We all went to school together, and there was like just people from different parts of the country. Like you had New York, Jersey, Chicago, like down south. Other people from like West Coast. So it was a you. I had all of those people, and like in their musical journey, like as an influence. So it's like I had them too. So we and
Okay.
and as far as making me a better artist, they're really the beginning of that. So
Wow.
it's like the way that, because Big Rec had the album out. Then we
Yep.
had Epsilon and some other people that were coming, and it's like you couldn't be around them and not be able to rap. Like it's like if you can't rap, you just you look crazy standing next to them. So it's like, so my craft had to step up, and that's even how I got into making beats also, from being around them.
Nice. 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 Nice.
Speaking of beats, I got a curveball for you. Speaking of beats,
Okay.
um, you may or may not know this, but Firstborn, who was with us, he went on to produce what's with Super Bass, Nicki Minaj.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he,
Wow.
so he's the producer for that. So like that's like the level of greatness that I'm dealing with
Wow.
at an early age. So that's kind of like the level of talent that you're around at that point. So he's
That's crazy.
multi
Shout out to that.
platinum Grammy. He's scoring movies and television. So it's like, so when you're around that, and then you have Rec, go with Diamond D, you have like Terse and other people like still producing. So it's kind of like you can't just sit there in that group of people and not be nice.
It says here that he's also scoring the new Wonder Years show.
Yep, yeah, he's scoring that.
Okay. Now that's big too. Shout out to that right there, man. And see, this is what I like to see. I like to see the offspring of something that started decades in the past. Their love never stopped. It just grew to expand to do things like that. So salute to Big Rec for keeping the fire going. And everyone from Mass Reality keeping the fire going in their respective unique ways, including yourself. Um, just one more thing about Mass Reality, then we'll shift into the next segment of this. You guys, and I hate using this term, but it's politically correct. You all were Christian hip hop artists, but more or less y'all were truth MCs. Um, how was the relationship? Let me not say relationship. What was the feedback like when you guys dropped the projects that you did, and working with great people like New Breed, Salute to Macho and Elsie, Remnant Militia, Tunnel Rats, and so on and so on? What was the feedback like at that time for you and the rest of the fellas?
Well, being around the artists that you mentioned, it was smooth sailing, because it's like, I mean, again, you have to be able to rap to be around these people.
Yeah.
Um, as far as the general public, um, it was a mixed bag, because you had some people who were feeling it and other people that weren't,
Hmm.
because in a lot of ways, being black in America, and then trying to tell that truth on a record, or like what, expressing it on a record, or having it come through in culture and action and how you engage the world is not conducive at all
Yeah.
to the culture that's within the church. So in a lot of ways, there was, you know, there was a bumping of heads, and it's like, and I knew I wasn't gonna make it.
Hmm.
You know, as far as in that space, because you know, it wasn't a thing of hey, you know, you're in the church. It's like my life is still my life. You know,
Yeah.
and if you believe that God exists and he's supposed to know everything and be everywhere, why am I going to get on a record and lie?
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell the truth,
Yeah.
but you know, in that space, that's not always what they're trying to hear.
Yeah. Really.
So so like just being around, being in that element,
Mhm.
you know, they, you know.
Gotcha. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now tuning in, we got brother MC Vandal in the place, MC producer, all around great guy, and definitely someone that loves this art form. And if you haven't figured that out by now, you stick around. It's going to get a little better. So from there, obviously your love of MCing hasn't died, but you're going to shift from one genre, so to speak, and start to move down to start to do things in a different way and present yourself. Still be the same, but just speak more to, I don't want to say the streets, but speak more to the boom bap crowd, but still have a message within your music. So from there, where does Vandal go?
Well, I mean, I think if you listen to like the earlier work, it was never like for, I can only speak for myself as an artist. It was never about a message as much as it was like what's my story, what's my motivation? Because like my motivation was always like, okay, what's the story, regardless of who the audience is. So like if it literally doesn't matter like what space I'm in. Like the story is the story. If I'm in the projects, that's the story. If I'm on Capitol Hill, that's the story. If I'm in the church, that's the story. If I'm on the corner, that's the story. You know, like the story is actually the same. I think the difference is that I was more able to you know, there was a lot more writing that was able to happen. I I got a lot of great beats, you know, from my brothers, you know, from Terse, like from other people, and
Hmm.
so I was able to just kind of hone that craft and actually tell the story because like from that point up until now, people haven't really had a uh, fully fleshed out project for me. So this is kind of like my first real push and introduction because there's like been other like disparate projects and appearances before, but like
Hmm.
this is literally the first, because a lot of the stuff that you hear on these records was going on then.
Okay.
You know, but from then up until now, like the whole Pick Your Poison series is kind of different chapters like within that story. It's just that people, you know, hadn't heard it before, seen it before.
Right. 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 Um. So in the creation of this story that, from what you're saying, years in the making, how did you assemble the producers? Just speak on the process of how this all came to 6/17/2022.
Well, I mean, for the Pick Your Poison project specifically, um, what helped kind of tie it all in was kind of the pandemic, because it's like you got nothing to do but be in the house at that point. So it's like
Right.
so I'm in the house and I have the recording equipment. Trucks, he's in the house. Knots is in the house. Static is in the house. Drug Beats, he's in the house. Kelly Portis, he was in it. Like, so everybody's in the house. So there's nothing to do but, you know, as rappers, I'm writing. As producers, they're producing. So it's like, so I'm watching Trox move around. I'm seeing what beats he got. So I get something from him. I see Knots moving around. I grab something. And me and Drugs, we've been in communication like for a long time, like way before he got on, got the Dre placements, the G Unit placements, the Ludacris placements. But we've been interacting for a very long time. So it's like I've been getting beats from him, got beats from Portis. So it was like tying it all together. And but how it ended up being the Pick Your Poison series was when I got the beat from Trox. Because like when you listen to like the intro and the first track, that just kind of explains what's gonna happen for the whole Pick Your Poison series. Because like if you listen to the intro, you know, there's the gun violence, there's the domestic violence, there's, you know, the single parenting, there's the poverty. It's like all in that intro. So how do you not come out insane after those set of circumstances? So it's like, so when you're going through Pick Your Poison, that's where it's like, yo, this nigga's wilding.
Yeah.
Well, this is why he's wilding. So it's like, so when I heard the Trox beat, I was kind of like, okay, that's it. Because I couldn't make sense of, because I was like, I'm writing and recording and I'm like, this is dope, but this doesn't make sense. But like when I got the Trox thing, Trox kind of like, it just kind of tied all the other records together. I'm like, okay, this is why this is coming out the way it's coming out.
That's what's up.
So shout out to Trox, man. So we got more records coming, you know, from him too.
Amen to that. I'm glad to hear you say that it takes like, it usually, for most artists, myself included, when I was in the recording phase, I would just have a bunch of, you know, and where we come from, that we wrote on actual paper. We come from a different era, ladies and gentlemen. When we say book of rhymes, that's what we had. So on one page, I would have like 8 here, 8 bars here, on the other one, 4 here, 12 here, et cetera, et cetera. It was just, you know, I was waiting for that right beat to perfectly explain what I wanted to explain. And when it happened, everything else just started piecing together and it made it a lot easier. So I understand your process of how that recording thing goes. So I truly understand what it is you're saying. And that's a very dope thing to say, because there's a lot of artists that do it that way. And there's a lot of us who do things differently. So salute to you and being transparent enough to say, this is how it comes together. I may not be the greatest writer. I may not be able to write out 30 songs in an hour. But when it comes out and when it comes together, I'm giving you all of me. And this is what I'm presenting. So thank you for your transparency on that part. Actually, very dope. For me, over the many years that I've done this, first as an MC, now as a DJ, I believe that this culture revolves around the word relationship. So with that being said, you know, your relationships with people like Static and people like Knots, that are pillars in this industry who damn near worked with the creme de la creme. What was your, and I just really want to focus on those two, not to disrespect anybody else, but to have Static and Knots on an album is saying something, because that's very like DJ Premier category. Like you get them, you can basically say, oh, this is where I work at a word. Okay, so if Static worked with this guy, then Pete Rock can work with this guy. Primo can work with this guy. Marco Polo can work with this guy. I mean, it only takes one word of mouth to say, oh, he worked with Knots. Hey, Knots worked with Rod Digger. Knots worked with Master Ace. Knots worked with Vandal. Oh, I gotta check this brother out. And so relationships mean a lot. So with that being said, how did you and Knots meet? And then tell me how you and I already kind of know how you and Static met, because y'all are from Massachusetts. Big up Static. We'll get into that. But for you to link up with Knots, how did that relationship start?
I mean, again, like when you're like in a pandemic, and if I'm stuck in the house and you're stuck in the house, and because Knots makes like tons of beats a day. So
Yeah.
he's like sending them out like to the public, and then like his management's information is there. So it's like I'm listening because I'm with you. I'm like, yo, this is Knots right here. And it's
Right.
like, and because like you couldn't touch a lot of these people before. It's like I couldn't imagine, like when what's the record, like when Instinction Level Event came out. I don't see how in that era I could have gotten like a direct line to Knots, like
Wow.
or the budget, because you have to have a budget, when you, or like a real budget, like when you come to these people.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like those events. It's like we're in the house. Knots has the beats. I hear the beat. The manager's information is there, and I'm like, when I heard the beat, I'm like, okay, I have to get this, because it's like the planet is listening, like the
Yeah.
planet, and then everybody he worked with, because like I'll see Swiss Beats in the comments and Busta Rhymes in the comments and Royce 5'9" in the comments. So it's like, so I have to beat all of those people to that beat, assuming that everybody's hearing what I'm hearing. So it's like, so as soon as I hear the beat, like 5 minutes later, I'm like, yo, I need this. We're not haggling the price, whatever the price is. Right, boom, you got it. So that's
Right.
how that came about. And then with Static, I mean, I haven't had a lot of interactions, with Static, because like he's always moving, just like the rest of, the show off ST. They're always moving, so you got to catch them at the show and show the love there, because they're on a plane the next day. But Static was like, selling beats, as well. And I heard one, because I love Static Selector, but then there was like one that was just kind of like, this is different and it's dope. And it's kind of like, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, I don't think anybody else saw this. And I'm so it's like, so I reach out, you know,
Hmm.
pay, pay when I'm asked to pay, and then boom, and
Right.
that I really really enjoyed doing that, because there was a lot I wanted to kind of express in terms of that record,
Hmm.
and like the Static beat was just perfect for that.
That's what's
So
up,
like
man.
shout out that
Huh?
I said shout out to Static, man, because
Yeah.
that
Oh,
that's literally driving the streams for the whole album. Like as far as like where it's placed me in terms of monthly listeners. Like at the peak, I was like top 30 in the state, like for like monthly listeners on Spotify. Like from the state of Massachusetts, you put them all together. Like you even put like the famous ones. I'm top 30. Like
wow.
if you put it in the city, it gets worse. Like top 20, and then even when you look at because like the whole, like in terms of like the online streaming, if you're not, if the algorithms and the internet doesn't recognize that you are from a particular area, it doesn't register you in the rankings. And so when that started happening, not only was I top 30 in the state, I'm top 10 in the city, like right now. Like even as, because like people have been listening to the Static joints, and the streams were up there. I was like top 5, like
Hmm.
as far as listeners that registered as artists from Boston. Like the only ones above me were Slain, Liff, Latrell James, Right Hook,
Wow.
and then me. Like no, like nobody else was moving at that point. And
That's a
that's just that was just off the strength of the Static record.
That's a impressive list of Boston MCs that you just mentioned. Shout out to every single last one of those. I know them all very well, and that's
Yeah.
extremely dope company. Um, Earlier in the interview, you mentioned that you were from Detroit, and
No, Lansing is where I was born. In Michigan, I was born in Lansing.
okay,
But I mean,
um,
but my father was in Detroit, for some years. So I would go, see him. Like, but I was like this tall though.
gotcha. So being from, I guess being in the Michigan area from Michigan, today, when I look back, some of my favorites are from the Michigan area. Two that automatically come to mind that I'm sure you will agree with: Royce and Elzhi. Um,
I was literally about to say those two.
yeah,
Yeah, Royce Elzai. You know who else I'm listening to a lot, and shout out to Trox for putting me onto it. Ty Ferris.
okay,
Ty
okay.
Ferris is very dope. Like he did a whole album with Trox called I think it was called Room 39. But like
Mhm.
Ty Ferris, he can rap his ass off. That guy's good.
Did you know that Exhibit is from Michigan originally? I didn't know that.
I think I may have heard and forgot that.
That was a surprise to me because he raps so LA and so West Coast. I didn't know he was from Michigan, but he is someone I would add to the list. But Royce and Elzhi, I think, are two brothers that still don't get their flowers. Like you, I will put any Royce 16 against anyone you can possibly imagine, and Royce will come out on top. Knowing that you are a representative of Michigan, maybe not just not let's just say Michigan as a whole, to know that people like that are doing the same thing you're doing and already have established themselves, how important is it for you to carry on the tradition of what those two Michigan artists
Well,
brought to the
well, I mean,
table?
I was only in Michigan like as a very young child.
Either way,
I left before I was 10. But I mean, but it is cool to say like I was born in Michigan, and
right?
then Royce and Elzai were also born there. I mean, that's a cool thing to say. I'm like me personally, having lived in Boston for most of my life.
Hmm.
I'm kind of more proud of what's going on here. Not to take anything away from Royce or Elzai, but it's like when
Right.
you have people from the state that it's kind of like I'm like surrounded by like my favorite rappers at this point. So I've been able to like grow with them. So that for me that's a lot more exciting.
I was going to get to that too. You kind of beat me to it. I was only mentioning that because I feel the three of y'all rap the same, and it's like you're carrying,
I can hear
you're
that.
personally carrying the torch, not only for just hip hop in general, but you're carrying the torch of what brothers like that started, and the people in Boston who I was about to get to, like the Rexes, the Terms, the Acrobatics. Um, the right hooks, the Latrell James, and so on. So going into the Boston scene now, that you have been a figure of for many, many years, to carry on to tradition. And when I say carry on that tradition, because this is the age-old stereotype, unfortunately, when most people think of what areas produce a lot of great talent, Massachusetts doesn't get thought of, even though we have people like NOG, even though we've got people like Benzino, even though we have people like arguably one of the greatest that ever did it, Guru from Gangstar, and so on and so on and so on. Why is it, and this is something that I still notice today, that Boston still gets the short end of the stick um, when a good 40% of the best MCs come from that region? How important is it for you to carry on that tradition of representing a city that has produced great talent, not only locally or independently, but worldwide?
I mean, it's very important. for me, because it's kind of the same thing, just being around people and artists to where it's like you can't be whack and exist in those circles. Like
Yeah.
you can't come around Dutch Rebel and not be able to rap. Can't come around Easy Money. You can't come around Term. You can't come around Slain. You can't
Yeah.
you can't come around. You can't even like say things like I'm gonna make history or make an impact. Like you got to go through people like Guru to do that. You got to go through
Yeah.
Ed OG. You got to go through RSO. It's like, come on, you can't talk about I'm going to be great and not
Yeah.
have to deal with that legacy.
That is true. That is definitely true.
That definitely keeps me on my toes.
Yeah. And as well, it should keep anyone on your toes, because not only are you preserving and telling your story, but you're also carrying on, again, like I said, the tradition of the people that are not here. Guru's not here anymore. We have to appreciate, especially people like us in the ages that we are. We were blessed to hear his whole catalog, see him
Yeah,
live, maybe even have the chance to interact with him. I got to speak to him a few times, just to hear him speak the way that he spoke. I felt like I had a connection with him, even though we never recorded together or anything like that. For me as a DJ, I have to make sure I continue playing his music, because there are a lot of people who don't know who he is. Even people from Boston don't know he's from Boston. They thought he was from New York. I'm like, nah, that's a Roxbury guy right there. You know what that
yeah.
man did? That man opened up the doors for so many people that we look up to today. But let me not
Yeah,
stray off subject.
I would even hear his records like down in Alabama, like Mass Appeal made its way down there. The joint he did with like Nice and Smooth, because like because you look at Rhapsody, Yo MTV Raps, like
Yeah.
Guru's right there, and like when Mass Appeal goes like to
Mm.
number one on the channel,
What,
you you
what a
run you
record.
running that you running that back.
Woo,
So
what a
yeah,
record that was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a record that was, indeed. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now tuning in, we got Vandal here. And now let's get into the new project.
yeah.
If you just came in on this part, this interview will be saved. You can go back and hear everything that we said prior to this moment. So the new album is out now. How you feeling about it? And I don't mean like
Oh,
how you feeling about the project. I know you love the project, but you said this was like your first real release coming from you, even though it's really
yeah.
not your first, but it's just you telling your narrative. How are you feeling right now about the fact that you have this body of work representing yourself, sharing your story to the world? How are you feeling about that right now?
Oh, man, I feel great. It's yeah, like I said, it's literally like what I wanted to do. It's kind of like, as an artist, I like to do what I want, how I want, when I want. And so like when you're able to do it at such a high level with such esteemed artists, so towards kind of like I said, it's aftermath without having to sign to Aftermath. It's like
Mhm.
if even if I was on Aftermath and I had the budget, Pick Your Poison would pretty much come out in a similar fashion. I'd still go get Trox. I would still go get Knox. I'd still go get Static. I'd still go get Drugs. I mean, of course, if you have the budget, you might say, hey, let me get the Kanye, let me get the Pharrell. I
Mhm.
can go get Preem now. Like when you Timbaland, like some of those other people are like even Dre, but it's kind of like all the other sounds that are there. I'm like this is literally the record that I wanted to. It's like I literally have zero regrets about the beats, about what I talked about. Um, like even like down to the cover design. shout out to I-35 Design, like that. The way that album cover came out, like if I was on a major label, that would still be the album cover. So like everything, like every part of the process and every part of the way the album was put together, it's literally what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
He's
it's like I feel fulfilled in a lot of ways, towards kind of like oh wow, this is my dream. I actually did it.
Yeah, you definitely. You know what? Can that deserves a sound effect. I'm sorry, I haven't done these that much. There you go. That deserves that right there. Um, definitely. Congratulations on the accomplishment. For those that are listening, it is not easy to make an album or a mixtape or any type of project that you spend lots and lots and lots of time on. Because you're going through mood swings, things happen, pandemics happen, loss of family members or good friends. Lots of things can deter your mindset and say, all right, I gotta take a break, or sometimes you use this as what's the word I'm looking for, as a mechanism to escape from what's going on and stay focused on this, to see it in your hand when it's done. Like you get to look at the liner notes and you get to look at the front cover and you see the artwork and everything. It's like, man, I really did this. This is it. It's out there now, and that is a huge accomplishment. And you should feel proud. And hopefully, it won't be the last. I'm saying that now. Can't wait for 2, 3,
Oh,
4,
two's done.
5, 6
Yeah,
albums.
yeah. Volume 2 is done, by the way.
Oh, how come I don't have
Yeah,
it?
we just recorded the last one. Like the final mix should be done in a couple of days. So y'all, the DJs and all that are going to be getting records soon. We got like a lot of the same producers. Like Kelly Portis is there. And shout out to Loman. He's on there. He was on Picky Poison 1. He's on Volume 2. And like me and Loman have some stuff that's is gonna turn hip hop upside down, I believe. Because like not only is Loman doing the beats, there are beats that me and him have done together.
Mm-hmm.
Like when those hit, like forget it. So
Wow.
I got Loman. Um, I have Drugs there. Um, kind of a lot of the same producers. Best Kept Secret. Who was also did stuff with Aftermath. Is a lot. I didn't have any features on Pick Your Poison 1, but on this one is very collaborative. Dutch Rebel's on there. Easy Money's on there. King Fire's on there. Amandi Music's on there. Latrell James did a beat, and I got Tony Ayo from G Unit who's going to be on there.
Wow. Okay. All right. That. All right. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I like that. Like that a lot. Yes, sir. Okay. Impressive lineup. Shout out to all those brothers and sisters, hardworking individuals indeed. This is a question I didn't ask you earlier, and I always forget to do things in order. Who are your top 5 favorite albums of all time?
Oh, that's rough. But
Think on your feet, brother. Think on your feet.
I mean, it shifts a lot. But if I had to, like, maybe the most impactful off the top of my head, I'd have to say Tupac, Strictly for My Niggas. I'd have to say Outkast, Southern Playalistic.
3 more.
The Above the Rim soundtrack.
Yeah.
That was like, because you'll hear a lot of the way I rap and try to ride the beat. You'll hear a lot of like Boss Hog CPO if you listen to like those records and like the way that they rap.
Yeah.
So that was impactful. And then like 2 more. Top 5. Nas, It Was Written.
Mm-hmm.
That would be one.
One more.
I guess I gotta say, pick your poison. Um, I,
Guy.
honestly, I can't really because there's so many albums that come to mind that
Mhm.
just really um like maybe Tupac again. Me Against the World. Like there was some joints on there that were pretty impactful.
All right, let me ask you this question. You can't mention the albums you've already mentioned on this question. If
Oh
you had
wow!
a chance, huh?
I said, oh wow! Like I got to get ready
Okay,
for this one.
yep. You can't mention the ones you just mentioned for this one. This is the first time I've ever asked anyone this question. It just came to my head. If you had a chance to sit in the studio and watch an album being made from start to finish, what album do you wish you could sit on?
Um,
I know my
Probably
personal favorite, but I want to hear yours.
like one album
Yep,
from
if you could
start.
just sit in the studio and just watch it being made from the first song to the last, which album would that be?
Um, if I thought off the top of my head, probably Dr. Dre, either 2001 or The Chronic. Like
Wow.
what was to
Yeah.
like sit down and watch Dre, because like I said, every artist that kind of goes through that death row aftermath mill, I watch what happens to them like before they run into Dre, and then after the record's done. Like Snoop, Rage, Dog Pound, Nate Dogg, rest in peace, Warren G. Like and then even in later years, like when Wu Tang, like when Ray comes and gets Dre, to where like okay, ever when Nas comes and gets Dre, for it was written as kind of like everybody that runs into Dre never comes out the same. So it's like I would want to pick up like what's that energy,
hmm Yeah,
what's that process.
I don't really think about it like that, like you did, but it wouldn't. I wouldn't mind sitting in on watching the first Chronic get made. That was
Yeah.
just, it's just, man, this is like to see a young Snoop and a young Corrupt, who was my favorite out of the whole bunch. Just black out the way that they did and just put something together that stands the test of time, literally to this day. This definitely means a lot. I was gonna mention mine, but nah, never mind. What can people who haven't heard "Pick Your Poison" expect when they hear it?
Um, I I guess I think probably the best way I could do like the whole series, mics, money, models, mayhem. Like that's pick your poison. Like from volume one all the way down to to volume two that's coming out, and then we'll get to work on probably at least volume three. I'd say some of those themes and just kind of rinse and repeat, because like the whole pick your poison thing, because like that's kind of like you're at the bar. It's kind of like pick your poison. It's like it's not necessarily good for you in excess, but you're at the bar. That's all that's there. So it's kind of like in the same way that you have to pick your poison at the bar. If you're stuck in the hood or you're stuck in the streets, and you know that nobody's getting out, nobody leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm sitting with that reality, I start looking around. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, what's actually good here, or can I extract something out of this? It's like where's where's the money? Like how do I get it? Like legal or illegal? Where's the money? Where's the money? Where where's the money? Where's the spots? Where the hoes? Like there's if if it's all permanent, if there's nothing else here, you might as well extract. what little bit of joy or entertainment or distraction or relief because you're stuck there. That's like what I say on the course of the record. Like, nigga,
Right.
we stuck. You might as well pick your poison. So that's what the whole series is about. Is like, how does somebody, and me specifically, how do you react to the fact that like you're in the hood and in the streets forever? And if you look at our community generally, you know, most of us who are born into our economic and social circumstance, statistically speaking, we don't leave. Like, if you're born poor, you're there. So who tells that story? So that's kind of like how I do, like, from my perspective, because it's kind of like the neighborhood's going to be the same, your relationships are going to be the same, the money in your bank's going to be the same, how your kids come out is going to be the same as how you came out. Everybody's stuck. So, like, what do we do at that point? So that's kind of what I get into.
Okay. All right. One last question, and we're just gonna, wrap this up because I know you probably got a bunch of things to do. And I want to thank you for your time, and I'll give you my exiting thank yous as well. And it's a question I ask everybody at the end. When it's all said and done, you've wrapped your last project. You felt you've done enough for the culture. You want to, bow out gracefully. At the end of it all, what do you want your legacy to be?
Just that the guy was good, and it's kind of funny because like I said, I already feel like it's a success because, like, when you kind of share it with your peer group, so it's like, so if my favorite rappers and producers say I'm good, I'm already done. So, like, it doesn't matter how, like, I'd like for it to sell and be popularized, getting the marketing team going. Shout out to the team that I'm working with, but it's kind of like I already feel like I've answered your question, like, already, in terms of I already have the respect of my peers. It's kind of like, I'm here, my competition's all the way down here. It's like, I'm already done. So it's like that. So I guess I would just want people to be reminded of that's already happening right now. Like, whoa, this guy was good. Like, nobody was messing with him. All of his peers, liked and respected the project. It's kind of like in a cipher. Like, he rhymed like, oh, he got some shit. That's kind of all. Like, that's kind of like all I wanted, and I already have it. So it's kind of like, all right, what's next?
Real talk, real talk, real talk. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just now tuned in, we got the brother Vandal here. Album is Pick Your Poison, Volume 1. It is available on all DSPs, wherever you listen to music. Go get that. Apple Music, Amazon, however you purchase, go purchase.
You get the merch too.
And you
Like,
get the merch too. Oh, come on, man. Stand up. Show that. Come on. Stand up. Show that. Come on, brother. Let them see that.
I am Vandal.com. That's where you go. So I got it in black. I got it in black and white. So, like, all the sizes get that. We got some other merch coming. I can't speak on it, but when it hits, it's going to hit. So it's gonna be so y'all get that. Mm-hmm. Y'all go stream the album. Let's get it popping.
Yes, sir. So in closing, let me just say, I've known you roughly 3 decades, perhaps. I know we don't talk as often as we should. Even when I was there, we don't talk as much, but that doesn't mean I wasn't paying attention or always supported you from a background. I've always was interested. I always say this to local artists. When I come up to you and keep on asking what you got coming out, that means I'm interested. When I stop doing that, means I don't really care. And I would always confront him, like, what's coming out soon, what you got doing this, what you got doing that. because I'm not only a fan but a friend. And I know so many great artists in the industry that I can call actually my friend or family member or however you want to word that. So I feel that I'm doing my duty not only as a personality in this industry or in this culture, but I just like to sit with my people and see what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Give them the acknowledgement while they're here. And if I have a chance to give somebody a platform for them to be heard, I'm going to do it. And that's all this is. I get nothing out of this. This is mainly for y'all. I mean, we were MCs. Who better to relate than someone that has done the same thing that you're doing now? Because I'm never going to rap again. Bump that. I hate writing music. It's too much. I can't think like that anymore. I'll let y'all people handle it for me, and I'll just be the fan in the background playing your stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
But I just
you
want
know,
to,
yeah, you remember you did that for me like a
yeah,
while back. You
yeah,
DJ'd for me. So
I
I
did.
ain't forget.
I
Yeah.
did. I forgot where we were. I will say Middle East, probably, most likely, or maybe the Milky Way. I'm not sure which venue, but it was
It
probably
was
one of
it was
those
it was
two.
it was, it was one of the Cambridge joints.
Yeah. Okay, so it was probably Middle East or Western Front, one of those two.
Yeah.
But that was a joy, and I love doing that as well because get to see the crowd's reaction. But for you, thank you for not giving up. And I don't want to use the word giving up, but just staying the course to do this project and the many more that will follow it. Continue
Yeah,
success.
I'm in pocket now, so it's about to be a wrap.
Continue success, and let people know where they can get this album. Go ahead. This is you. Support it.
Yeah. Go to yeah, you go to imvandal.com. That'll just pretty much have the links wherever you can find me. I am Vandal on Facebook. I am Vandal 617 on the gram on Twitter. But yeah, like I said, imvandal.com. That's where you can get the shirt. Like I said, I got all the sizes. Men, women. You know, shirts are unisex, so you can grab whatever it is you need there. I got more stuff coming. And yeah, like I said, follow me on Spotify, because that you'll be able to tap in with a lot of the music. And like I said, I got stuff coming, so that joint with Tony Yayo is going to be that's going to go worldwide, just like the Static Selector joint. Like that's going to set this. I think the DJs are going to like this one. That it's going to light the clubs up.
Let's get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes Rap Sheet Podcast Season 2, Episode number 6. Shout out to the brother Vandal here. Make sure you support your local artists, support your independent artists, support your artists of color, ladies and gentlemen, because this is what keeps the foundation going. Support is everything. It only costs you a little bit of money and a little bit of time, and then just keep doing it. My brother, thank you so much for taking this time out to rock with us and vibe with us today. I greatly appreciate it. Anything you want to close out with? Feel free.
No, just go pick your poison. I'm taking y'all for a ride this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, truly a success. My brother, thank you so much for taking the time out today. I appreciate it. This interview will be up. I'll make sure that you see it before we put it on YouTube and everything, just in case you want to make some changes or whatever the case may be. But thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a wonderful weekend. I will see you all again. I think I'm seeing y'all again next week. I got to look at my schedule and see who's coming up next. But definitely share this with your people. Let people know that Vandal is here. Let people know that Pick Your Poison is out. Go support it. Go. Don't just download it, people. Buy the ish, okay? Buy the ish. It's only what, $10, $11 at the most, maybe? That's nothing. That's not even the cost of a meal nowadays. All right? Go support this man's album. If you don't, then you're missing out. And it'll be your fault. All right? Support that. My brother, thank you. God bless y'all. And
Thank you,
y'all
man.
have a wonderful weekend. Yes, sir.